Welcome back to the Postpartum Plan podcast. This podcast is designed to support and empower you through postpartum. Whether you're expecting, in the early postpartum days, or beyond, this space is for you. I'm your host, Madison Fugere, a dedicated postpartum doula and pediatric sleep consultant, striving to help parents feel confident and supported in their parenting journey. Each week, I'm sharing practical tips and expert advice to help you navigate all the postpartum things with confidence. Well, as much confidence as you can. Let's embark on this journey together, making your parenthood as serene and supportive as possible. Jamie Ritchie is the owner of Jamie Ritchie's Home Organization, a decluttering and organizing service in the North Shore of Massachusetts. She's passionate about helping clients tackle household clutter and designing realistic organization systems that make life easier. Jamie's clients describe her as a lifesaver, a coach, and an understanding friend, all rolled into one. I'm super excited to have Jamie with me today. Her intro will play before this, but you guys should also know that she's an amazing human, and I've known her for so many years now, and it's so exciting to have you on the podcast. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I knew you like way back when you were like a high schooler and I
Back when I was
needed
in high
a
school.
babysitter and Maddie
hmm
came in and like was the only babysitter that I felt like formed like real lasting relationships with my kids and myself and like you were indispensable. So
Oh, thank you. I know it was such a
yeah,
blast back when I feel like I had a little like mini babysitters club for myself,
you
right? Like
did.
it's what it
You
was,
did.
right? I had like a whole agency of sitters for those of y'all who are listening and don't know me. And like,
Uh,
yeah, there were 80 clients in the area. It was crazy for being a junior in high school. And it all started because I was on bed rest from having spinal surgery, which
Surgery,
was
I know,
crazy.
but it was like the indicator that you were meant to be an entrepreneur. You know what
It
I
was
mean?
such a
I think,
blast.
yeah,
It
for
was so
sure.
fun. And now I have all of these lovely families that I can't believe like your children are so old and all these things.
I
It makes me feel
know
old too.
they are old.
But all of that to say, Jamie is an amazing organizer. And so typically that wouldn't be somebody that you would think I'd have on the podcast. But because I know
Right.
Jamie and all of her input, I was like, this is really something I think parents should hear about because I walk into houses all the time of people being like so overwhelmed. There's so many things. Like we were just talking about before we hit record, like here, like the idea of like overconsumption and like buying a product that's supposed to fix something. And all of that is super prevalent in the early postpartum days. And I find that it gets super overwhelming and anxiety provoking for so many parents because they don't know where to put things, especially nowadays when we're living in small places and not moving very much because of the prices of
Right.
houses, right? So I have Jamie here to kind of help us to navigate, if you are postpartum, how do you organize things, what to get rid of? If you were prenatal, like, what can you do to prepare yourself so that you're not in that overconsumption stage and
Right.
all the things in between. So I'm excited to have you and to kind of chat a little bit about it. Do you want to tell everybody before we jump into it, like a little bit more about like you and how you got into all the work you
Yeah.
do? Because I feel like you were like, I'm gonna do this, and now you're like got
Absolutely.
this huge booming business. So
Yeah. It was kind of a COVID. It was like around a COVID kind of dream. I had a neighbor who asked me to come down and help. Is like, she's an amazing decorator, decorates for all of the seasons, and had a great space to put everything, but just had reached her limit in terms of how she was going to organize that. And
right,
so for me, that's really fun to organize things. I love to see the transformation and to make things easier to pull out, as each month goes by. And I did that for her. And then, she sent pictures to her sister and her sister-in-law, and then her sister-in-law shared it with a neighbor, and it just started to snowball. And so I didn't set out to be a professional organizer. It just kind of came to me. And then I really had to just be brave and be like, okay, like I'm going to put myself out there and see what happens. And here we are. It's been over 5 years now, and I've
that's
worked with
crazy.
hundreds of families. I'm a mom of three myself, and so I do understand significantly, and I have lots of nieces and nephews. So like the hand-me-down game
Oh
is
yeah.
real, and it is golden to me. that my sisters-in-law and I have shared so many things, but it really does highlight that this need for the parent in the home. It doesn't always have to be mom, it tends to be mom, but the parent in the home really has to have a good handle on what you have. And, like in the midst of raising kids, you also have to know, okay, well, those like boots that my sister-in-law gave me, like what size are they? I need to get them down now. Oops, we missed the window. Should I give them to a neighbor or donate them? Like it's just
There's a
thousands
huge
of
mental load to it.
decisions. It is a huge mental load. Now you could just say no, thank you to the
Right.
hand-me-downs. Of course, you could do that. But I think we have to have some kind of system because there's a huge connection between your physical environment and then the amount of anxiety or lack of control you feel. So
Yes.
my goal is always to help people do the most realistic thing. It is not going to be picture perfect all the time. I really dissuade people from spending a lot of money on organization just because, the phases go so fast, right? Like for a while, you're storing like, toddler booster seats and like the baby swings and the bassinets, right? These big pieces for a long
Yeah.
time. And like before you know it, you're storing just like raincoats and snow
Yeah.
boots and things like that. So I don't ever want anyone to feel like hiring an organizer means like, oh, they're going to have me buy shelving systems and bins. A lot of times we can use what you have. So
Right.
again, if people ask me like what my approach is, it's like I'm evidence-based because I'm a mom of three. I'm very budget conscious and I want to make things work for your family for the long term. So
Right.
even if you do need to buy some bins, okay, well, we're not buying colored bins, we're buying clear bins because those could go in 10 other places in your house when you're
Right.
done storing things. So that's
Absolutely.
me. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And there is so much to it, right? People do think like hiring an organizer or doing organizing as a whole becomes this like big expensive thing, right? Like you think about like the
Right.
container store, you walk in, you're like, this is amazing, and it's $1 million. Like,
Of course.
right?
It
So I think it's
is.
so important to remember that there are ways to do things on a budget. And yeah, the idea of like multi-purposed products to organize things,
Yep.
because especially with littles, like you phase out of things very quickly, right?
Very
A
fast.
bassinet only lasts really six months or so. Bottles are really only happening for a year if you're using them. And then you move to
Right.
sippy cups and you have plates and, play centers. So you might not be using the tummy time mat for as long or all the different things, right? Car seats take up so
Yes.
much space. And I think that remembering that you do have to have, versatile systems that grow with you and adapt to the different needs is so, so important. And I think it's
Yep.
also hard too, because I think we're in a world where people are like, I find one or the other with my clients, right? So I find people are either, especially if they're on their second kid or whatever, they have so much stuff because they were like, I can't get rid of this. What if I need it? Right? Like that hoarder mentality, but without
Yeah.
being like full blown hoarder, right? But you want to be prepared. Why would I buy it again? And then I have
Right.
other people that are like, nah, Amazon exists. And if I need it, I'll just order it that day. And I think that it's hard to kind of like find a place in the middle because you don't know like
Mhm.
where to be. Do you find that there's like specific things that make sense to keep versus what makes sense to like donate or anything like that?
I do. I think it's hard to, right? Because even if you know that you're having like same gender of child, if you choose to dress your child in gendered clothing, right? If the dates or the seasons don't match up, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
maybe you've got 6-month girl bathing suits, and then your second child is 6 month in a non-bathing suit season, right?
Right.
So I generally, here's my approach. I think larger things like cribs and bassinets, like seats, high chairs, things like that. Like I would keep that kind of stuff. But I read a quote from an organizer, this is years ago, and I'm so sad that I can't attribute this thought to her, but she suggested that think of consignment stores, thrift stores, and your online community, like the Facebook Buy Nothing groups. Think of that as your storage unit because if you got rid of something, I don't know, say like, oh, like hat and mittens for baby, right? And you got rid of that. chances are that if you decided like, wow, I really shouldn't have gotten rid of that, like I shouldn't have passed it down or sold it or whatever, you will be able to obtain it at an inexpensive price, and you won't have had to store that in your own home.
Right.
I think a lot of the minimalist information that I have read over the years, people think of minimalist as almost like kind of scary. It's like a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And I think if you flip that on its head, there is something to be said for utilizing your community and how minimalism can actually bring you closer to people around you, right? Like if you saw on a Facebook Buy Nothing community, like, I'm really looking for like, I don't know, like Tupperware of this size, and you're thinking to yourself, like, that is amazing. I have that. And how amazing would that feel to be able to like give or sell that to somebody else?
Right.
Um, People honestly do want to help. And I think there's also, just like there's not that need for every person to own every single thing.
Yeah.
So, if you are struggling with the like you said, that like holding on, that hoarding mentality of like, I have to keep all of these outfits and all of this
Yeah.
gear, right? Like I think you have to release that because you do not have a crystal ball. You don't even know if your future children or your subsequent children will like the same things. So I think, especially like on the North Shore of Boston, there are a lot of moms, and therefore there's a lot of inventory.
Yeah.
And I guarantee that if you get to that phase and you regret having passed something on, you will be able to find it.
Absolutely.
So you think
Well,
of
and I
that,
think there's another big thing to be said about like baby things, right? Like I know
Mhm.
everybody and their mother had, not actually, but like everybody
Yeah,
had those like rock and plays, like the Fisher Price
yeah,
rock and plays, right? Everyone loved them. They used to sleep their babies in them. Every house I walked in when I was babysitting in
yeah.
high school had one of those. Then
Then they
five,
got
6 years later,
recalled,
they
right?
recall them, right?
Yes,
And so think
yes.
about having had those types of things like in your house, whether you had the space or not,
Mhm.
but baby things are always growing and developing, right?
Yes,
We weighted sleep sacks were a thing for the longest time, and everybody was purchasing them, whether you bought them prenatally or you bought them at 2 a.m. thinking they were going to fix your baby's sleep. You had them,
right,
and now again, they're recalled, right? So hanging on to things like that is oftentimes like not worth it because you don't know if it's
right.
going to be what your next baby likes. I have so many people saying, "Oh, I kept this swing. My baby loved this swing. My second baby absolutely hated it."
Hated it.
So
Right.
it's
You just
not
don't
worth it,
know.
especially when you think about if you're gonna buy all these things brand new too, right? I mean, the Mamaroo is like hit or miss with every single baby, and they're like
Right.
$500 or something ridiculous like that. Don't quote me on that,
Yes.
everybody, but I think it's like
Yes.
that.
They are expensive.
Right. And so I think like trying to remember that like in a positive way, we do live in a world where you can order things and get things and
Yeah.
buy things or trade the buy nothing groups all pretty quickly, right? Like everything's at our fingertips. You have it on your phone when you're 2 a.m. doom scrolling and you're looking for something, check the Facebook group. Or,
Yes.
worst case, you order something on Amazon, like Amazon Prime arrives in like 2 days at most, right? Um, I've even had times that I've ordered things and they're like, it'll be at your house at 8 a.m. And I'm
At
like, what?
4 a.m. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay.
Great.
Yeah. And I think that's like another thing that I tell people. I know this is I know this is work, and I don't mean to add to the mental load for the stay-at-home parent, but it is kind of that like time is of the essence with your gear, right? Like think about, I mean, if you go up, my youngest is almost 10, and I have no baby gear left in my house. I held on to the stroller, I think until the last time we went to Disney when she was 8. And then I was like, okay, I know we're never gonna need it again. But think if like I just got a bee in my bonnet this morning and decided, like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go up to the attic and I'm going to sell our baby swing and our play mat. Guess what? No parent today wants that stuff because
Right.
my stuff is out of date.
Yeah.
And so, guess where that stuff ends up? In the landfill. So, I think you really do have to be conscious that if you want to recoup your costs or if you just want to clear your house out, you really
Yeah.
have to. It's a constant thing. And this is a big misconception as an organizer that I tackle is that, oh, I'm going to hire an organizer. I'm going to get my house the way I want it. And then we can all rest easy. No, absolutely not. decluttering and organizing is going to be a lifelong issue, whether you have one kid or five kids. Like if things
Right.
are always coming into your house and kids are changing, they're trying new things, different sports and hobbies, like it's constant. So you really have to evaluate the things sitting in your house that you're not using anymore and get them out.
Right.
Even if you're not concerned about the monetary issue, finding someone through your religious community or your neighborhood or someone that can use it, reach out to nonprofits.
Yeah.
I know that baby gear in particular, because of the safety concerns and the
Right.
recalls, some nonprofits like really don't want to touch it. But I guarantee if you make enough phone calls, you will find someone who is going to take the baby
Absolutely.
swing or whatever. So again, I don't want to put the onus on people like, don't sit down on the couch and relax, get rid of your baby stuff.
I
But
know.
but you kind of
But
do.
there's some good stuff to it, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
like remembering that it is, and I think it's one of those things people are so scared to jump on organizing, getting rid of things because they know they have a pile, right? But I feel like
Right.
if you're, when you go in to rotate your kids' clothing out, right? Okay, they're not fitting this. One of the things I tell a lot of my clients is keep like, like the 99-cent TJ Maxx bags, right? Keep them by the
Uh,
diaper changing station, and when the diapers that you have don't fit anymore, throw them in there, and then or the
Absolutely.
clothes don't fit anymore, throw them in there, and then you do one load of laundry of things that don't fit, and you either put them away or you donate them, and it's all done,
Yeah.
right? And if you
Yeah.
do things bit by bit, like day by day, it doesn't become this overwhelming task, so you still have time to sit down and rest and do whatever you need to
Yep.
do, but by doing things bit by bit, you're also now not having this like giant elephant in the room of things that you need to do.
Absolutely.
And I think
I
your
tell my
point,
clients that a lot, right? Is that a lot of people kind of, once they hire me and they know I'm coming, it's kind of like a dentist appointment. Like you kind of you can't really get out of it. Like I am coming. Um and so like it kind of puts that time pressure on it. But like I work with a lot of parents who are attorneys, they're marketing professionals, they own their own businesses. Like everyone absolutely has the intelligence and the drive to organize on their own. Like I'm not rocket science. It's just that I think, getting people to focus on it, they usually say like, oh, okay, like I've been dreading this, but like now that you're here and we almost do like body doubling, right?
yeah,
Where like I'm telling them like, nope, you've been holding that item too long. Like if it's not 100% a yes, then it's a no. And just getting people like, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, right?
yeah,
So if investing in organizing is like not within your scope right now, I agree. Do a little bit at a time. Set a 20-minute timer, tackle one, like even if it's like one child's PJ drawer, right? Like do
right.
that drawer and then like move on. I think a lot of people get hung up on organizing being a project, and it is not a
Yes.
project, it is a cycle. So if you were to say to your spouse, like, okay, we need to find an entire day on a weekend where you and I can tackle the garage together. Okay, we already know that with like people getting sick, sports schedules, whatever. Like you're never going to find a whole day where you and your partner can
Right.
focus on cleaning out the garage. It's just not going to happen. And if that's your mindset, it's easy to push it off instead of saying like, I'm going to go out to the garage today and find like three things that I'm going to list on Facebook
Yeah,
and then call it good. So,
it's great. I think
yeah,
that it's also like it's just so important to realize that there is so much to do, right? And like you said, being able to do
Mhm.
things by yourself is challenging sometimes, and hiring a coach can be great. And the things that you were just saying, I resonated so much with as a sleep
Yeah,
consultant because it's the same idea, right? You can find information about sleep training your child. You can find information about organizing your house wherever you look on the internet, right? We're not
right,
coming to the table with these magic like superpowers to tell you things you've never heard before, but we're
right.
here to hold you as somebody accountable, right?
Yeah.
And as somebody to like hold your hand and walk you through it, when it's this big, daunting task that you feel like
Mhm.
so overwhelmed by, you don't know where to start. It's like having a giant to-do list. You're like, what do I even do? And you become like
Absolutely.
paralyzed. So being able to be told like, this is your first step. We're going to do this together. Okay, you're going to do this. Great. You've done it. Now what questions do you have? Okay, let's make the next move and the next move. And having
Right.
somebody to hold you accountable, right? Whether that be that you're following up with somebody, hey, did you end up throwing those donations in? Or, I'm texting somebody in the morning saying, hey, how did your nighttime go? Did you make sure that,
Yeah.
you did this last night, right? It
Right.
is so much about accountability. And even with sleep consultant and clients, I hear people saying that like, they've tried to sleep train before, but that accountability and that hand
Yeah.
holding, walking them through is what changes it. And I'm sure you hear the same thing with organizing. Hey guys, it's Madison. Yeah, I'm here interrupting myself, but I wanted to take a minute to talk about something that can feel so overwhelming as a parent: sleep. So, if you are in the thick of the sleepless nights, struggling to figure out how to get your baby and yourself to get more rest, then I want you to know that you're not alone. Here's the thing: if what you're doing is working for you, great, keep doing it. But if it's not, there are resources to help, and I'm happy to be one of them. As a certified pediatric sleep consultant, I work with families to create personalized sleep plans that actually make sense for your current and unique situation. No cookie cutter advice, just practical strategies that match your parenting style and your child's personality. Because let's be real, sleep is not a luxury, it is a necessity. So, if you're ready to make a change, I'd love to help. You can book a free sleep connection call on my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com, or reach out to me on Instagram at serenemoments.doula.
Right. Yeah, I think so. This circulates like in a variety of professions. I've seen it like even been applied to like hairstylists, right?
Yeah,
Like when you hire me, you're not just getting me, you're getting the hundreds of other homes that I've been in and I've seen like what works, what
yes,
doesn't work. Whereas like you have probably only tried to organize your own home. And so I think it takes a little bit of that background information to be able to do it well. And
absolutely.
also, like, I mean, you're walking into homes not knowing that, like you're picking up on the dynamics the second you get in the door. I'm the same way. I'm walking in and like I might ask what seems like the dumbest question, but it really does turn light bulbs on for people when I ask like, okay, so you've got like these coats here and then like you've got these coats over here. Like tell me like what are the differences in these coats? Like why are they in two places? And they're
Yep,
like, oh, there is none. I'm
right.
like, okay, so see, this is a problem because either we have too many coats or we haven't like thought through the system, right? We all know that when you're trying to get out the door, if you've got kids scattering to different parts of the house, like you've lost them. They found a
Yep.
toy, whatever's going on. So like I think I bring to the table like I've never been in your house before, so I'm going to ask questions about like
Yeah,
why you have it set up that way, and it might lead to a light bulb moment of like, oh yeah, see, we have set it up this way without a lot of forethought, and so like no wonder it's not working. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
um, so
Now,
it's
are
kind
there
of good to be
things?
anonymous.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Now, I think like, okay, if we can rewind the clock, slash, if the people listening are prenatally and
mhm,
trying to prepare or like have teeny tinies, I think about when people are pregnant, there you also, you often hear, there we go, the
yeah,
like nesting phase, right?
yes,
So, what kind of things can people do to kind of set themselves up for success? One of my big things that I talk with clients about
yep,
is, you know, not that you need to be a minimalist, but there are so many things that are out there that are marketed to like sleep deprived people and are
oh yeah,
marketed to parents as like this is the item that you need and like this is gonna fix XYZ. And so for me, I talk with clients a lot about like, no, just get one or two of these, like with sleep sacks, I think, right? There's
yes,
so many swaddles, there's so
right.
many sleep sacks. People are like, what do I get? I say, you get one of these Velcro ones, you get one blanket, and you see what works. And then if it works, great, you order more. And if not, we order something else, right? And
Right.
we find something else. But there's so much to that, right? And especially with families, I see a lot of families in smaller houses, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we have to like now redesign our entire house to bring, especially first-time children, right? Bringing this baby in, and where do we
Right.
put all of these apparatuses, and where do we put all of these burp cloths and all of these bottles, and like it's
Apparatus.
so much. So do you
It
have
is.
suggestions on like how people, or like specific products that you like or things like that that might be helpful? I know that's hard without seeing anybody's space, but
Yeah. I think it's good. I think, okay, there's a couple things. Um, if I were going to be a first-time mom again, I think I would really, when it comes to like showers and gifts and things like that, I would really like think closely about my requests or my
yeah,
registry and maybe ask more for like Amazon gift cards, so that you can kind of like piece out the accumulation of the apparatuses, right? Like, like a bouncy seat or like even a high chair is really not coming into play during the fourth trimester, right?
right.
So I also realize that your loved ones, like they really want to give you something. They
Everyone
that
loves
like
buying baby stuff.
right, they like, that brings them great joy to give you something for your baby. So I under like that's kind of a sensitive issue to like
Right.
tell your mother-in-law or your great aunt, like, no, please just get me a gift card. Like that's
Yeah.
not very much fun. So if you can't do that, like if people really do want to give you your things, I think you've got to make space in other ways, right? So let's say you're in a townhome, right? Because a lot of first time parents like are not maybe in their forever home.
Right.
So, if you have a closet that maybe has, let's say, sporting gear, like you and your partner were into like X hobby. Well, maybe for the first 6 months of your baby's life, you will not be having the time and freedom to engage in that hobby. So, like, can you
Right.
clear out that stuff? Like maybe you have storage available in your home, like in a basement or attic.
Yep.
Maybe a family member is willing to save that stuff for
Right.
you, right? So you kind of need to, it's like the idea of like if you were to do like a home drawing of a renovation, like, okay, this is going to go here. And like, okay, we can tuck this next to the couch, like kind of plan out where you're going to put things.
Yeah.
And that would apply to the kitchen as well, right? Whether you're nursing, whether you're formula feeding, whatever, you're like, there's going to be a lot of pieces to wash and
Right.
sanitize in the kitchen. So, even if you have a small kitchen, can you go in and look critically like, okay, we've got all this like entertaining like platters and pitchers and things like that. Can we move that somewhere else for the time that we're bottle feeding?
Right.
Because if you don't have a lot of counter space, I always say the simplest solution is the best. Like just get some like plastic bins from Target and maybe like the bottles are going to go in this one, the nipples are going to go in this one, the tops are going to go in
Yep.
this. So you can kind of like just toss and go, make it really easy for those people, the caregivers in your home, like grandma, sister, neighbor, like anybody can come in the
Yeah.
kitchen and kind of figure out your system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, if you can really, like you said, there's so much product marketed to parents, especially when you're sleep deprived, and you would literally give like a pint of blood for a solution that's going to
Yeah.
make your kids sleep at night.
Yes.
Try not to be mesmerized by that. Try to really like, piece out the purchases as you need them. And like you
Absolutely.
said, if you really find that you need something, it's only 2 days away by Amazon. So I don't think you need
Right.
to like panic buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But definitely don't wait until you get home from the hospital to start like, okay, like I didn't even think about like maybe you live in a house where like you need to bring the stroller up into your entryway, you're not leaving it in
Right.
a car or garage or something. Well, you've got space for that. So like maybe these like hooks on
Exactly.
the wall where your coats are, like those have got to move.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those are my thoughts on
Absolutely.
that.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of parts to it. And I think,
Hmm.
you know, one of the things that you just mentioned about like baby registries and stuff is something I talk about a
Yeah.
lot on here too. And it's the idea that like register for services, not stuff. And when you just mentioned kind of that other side of it, which I never would have ever thought, well, I probably have, but didn't realize that I was thinking about, is like
Yeah.
the unnecessary timing of it, right?
When
Yeah.
people do baby registries, especially if they have like large groups of people coming, they feel like
Hmm.
they have to keep adding to the list. Like, oh, well, I have to add
Oh,
more because people keep
absolutely.
buying things. I have to add more. And you
Right.
end up with like, okay, now I have a bicycle for when they're 4 years old, or like, I have the car
Right.
seat that they need when they're like three. So,
Yes.
yes, that's lovely. And people do like buying stuff, but also like, it's so much more normalized now, and I think weddings kind of started this process of like, okay, how about a fund for this or a fund for that?
Right.
And yes, people don't like doing gift cards in some ways, right? They want to know what they're contributing to. So I find that a lot of
Right.
times you can kind of put notes on stuff. So if you are hiring, you want support, like I say, put a postpartum doula on there, put a sleep consultant on there, put a lactation consultant on there,
Absolutely.
right? But when it
Put
comes
an
to like,
Instacart membership on there too.
yes. HelloFresh, Instacart, Target orders, right? Like whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then that idea that you kind of just brought up too of like, you don't need this stuff. Why would you want to get it all to store it right now, right? So maybe you put like, yeah,
Right.
I want an Amazon gift card so that eventually we could buy XYZ. And even putting like a note by saying, right? Like, as a lot of you know, like we have a very small space. So as much as we would love for you to buy XYZ, please, consider purchasing a gift card and putting a note on it that says like this is for
Right.
XYZ instead, right? And I think that
Right.
that's something that can be like easier rather than just putting on like, okay, I just need a gift card, or okay, buy me the thing that I don't actually want to have storing in my house right now.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I think it's it is like again, if you have people in your life that are very gift focused, like I understand it can be an adjustment for them, but I think it will also help down the road, right? Like um I'm very fortunate, like my parents and my in-laws have listened to what my husband and I have said of like these kids like really don't need any things, but
oh
like
yeah.
I've heard like kid number two like really wants to take swimming lessons or
Yeah.
like has never been to the Museum of Science or whatever it is. And so like
Yeah.
you're kind of setting the stage for that like, hey, we really don't need stuff, but like relationships are important to us. So like could you please instead like if this is baby number two or three for you, like ask like, hey, the week bringing the baby home might be tough for like the kids to adjust. Like, would you mind like taking them to like go burn off energy at the park and like take
Yeah.
them to lunch or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
It starts shifting that focus away from stuff. And once you don't have the stuff, you realize like, oh, I don't really miss it,
Right.
So it is a shift. It's not an easy one for everybody, but I do think it's worth it. Because the alternative is you're drowning in your home and I mean, you're already like heightened emotions, like
Yeah.
bringing home a baby and you want to feel like your home is like a haven and not something that you're like, oh, I can't relax with the baby because I actually have to get
So
up and like
overwhelmed.
find a place for like all these new outfits that came in the mail or whatever it is. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
absolutely. And I think it's so important to just remember that, like, it's never too late. Like, you can definitely fix
It's
it. And
not.
once you get a system in
Yeah.
place, it's so much easier. And I think, yeah, remembering that, like, everything is really just a day or two away nowadays, right? A Target pickup, a Walmart pickup, an
Yes,
Amazon order, a buy, sell, trade group. It's all pretty quick. And so
that's right.
you can definitely, find things that you need at the drop of a hat. So I think that's so important to
Absolutely. Or
remember.
even just like borrowing it from someone like, hey, I think a mamaru would be great for this baby. Like, can I borrow, yours for like 3 days before I purchase my own? Like people
Yeah,
are very open to that kind of thing. You just have to ask
absolutely.
and see.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yep.
Well, thank you for joining me and giving some tips and tricks.
You're
Hopefully, everybody
welcome.
found it helpful. Jamie's
Yep.
information will be in the show notes below, so definitely check it out if you're looking for some input and some kick in the butt to get things
Yeah.
moving. You can
Hmm.
definitely reach out to her.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Postpartum Plan podcast. I hope that today's episode brought you support, relatability, and valuable insight. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review and share with any of your prenatal and postpartum friends and family. Your feedback helps us reach more parents seeking support. And if you're looking for additional resources, please feel free to connect via Instagram at Serene Moments Doula for constant information, tips, and tricks, or check out my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com. See you next week.